And now, Kyle and Steven present another episode of the Go F Yourself podcast. It's Fix. Really? Well, that's embarrassing. The Go Fix Yourself podcast.
Welcome to the Go Fix Yourself podcast. We're so grateful that you're joining us today. Aren't we, Kyle?
I'm so excited to be here today. It's
Yeah.
just another, was it Tuesday?
Oh, well, today is, yes,
Today
but
is
maybe
Tuesday.
not for our guest today. But the Go Fix Yourself podcast, welcome. Where we are fixing our worldview one conversation at a time. And today, let's just jump right in, man. Let's just get rolling.
She's introducing herself.
Yeah.
Wait, how much am I allowed to curse or not curse?
Go for it.
I'm not going to upset your mom,
No,
your
no,
parents.
no.
Carol actually loves the F word. That's what I heard.
Yeah. She's a big fan of,
Fun.
That's she's a big fan of all the words.
Okay, I'm kind of a sailor.
Oh, me too.
You know,
I mean, you've listened, and there was before I say any of this, Susynn Snyder,
Yes, that's
General
me.
Manager, Venue Manager of Williwaw, gracing us with her presence in the studio today.
Yes.
Very excited to have you. But no, last podcast we had, and this guy to my left, he doesn't.
He
curse.
lets them go.
He doesn't curse that much.
He's got young kids at home, so
Well,
that's probably it definitely helps.
That
Even
makes me want to curse.
even
to be honest.
before the kids, this guy was like, he would be like, "Oh and he'll never
Go fork
go
yourself.
to completion.
I go to completion. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's be
And
careful.
so, but the other guy, he wasn't like swearing either, and I was like, just like being like, "Well, fuck this," and then I started being like, "Oh my gosh, I'm like the only one swearing on this podcast." And I was
Yeah.
like, and then
It was painfully obvious.
There's been episodes where people have texted Kyle, but not texted me, been like, man, Steven really swore a lot this episode. And I was like, well, sometimes I'm just in the zone of saying the F word, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So let them go. Let them fly.
It's more than just the F word. You got the S word. You got
Yeah,
the C word.
The C word.
I
I
was
love
gonna
saying
say,
that one, actually.
you know what?
Cool.
Yeah. I don't think
I
that's been
actually
dropped.
called myself the C word in a staff meeting yesterday.
Really?
Oh.
In front of the employees.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, how did that go?
It went great. We actually had a very cathartic staff meeting. It was like half therapy, half like do your shit.
Were you coming clean about something? Were you?
Well, just like, being a boss, you ride that line between like mentor, leader, and then in hospitality, there's a lot of friendship, right?
yeah. Mhm.
Like, and then being the boss,
Right.
Right.
Because you kind of have to
And
like wear
then
the
as a
hat.
female, it's even harder, like to not come off as a quote cunt.
Right.
Yeah. Ooh,
Then
that might be the first. That might be the first time someone said that word on this podcast.
That's the title
I'm
of the
so
podcast.
glad I was
Yeah.
the one.
Yeah.
So yeah, we get, females get called for the same kind of like behavior or like drawing a line.
Yeah.
We get called names that men
Yeah, you
don't
got bitch.
necessarily. Yeah, bitch.
Yeah.
cunt. And
I've been called that a
and
lot.
It's a button. It's a
Yeah.
button. People do it sometimes to like
Yeah.
try to push your buttons.
I call Kyle a dumb bitch all the time.
Yeah.
But see, again, that's a joke.
Yeah, you're right. That's a
you
good
say
point.
that
That's
to
a good
me,
point.
Steven?
No,
Yeah.
that's why I said it to Kyle.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
I joked
He
this
was
way.
talking
not
about
towards
you, but he did say it to me.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
I mean, I gotta
What a
ma-
great way to start a podcast off.
Well,
I
it's
love
true.
It.
Like, I think of it, and I've seen you work for a while, and it's like being a manager in the food industry or any kind of industry like that, service industry more specifically, is like hard because you are family in a lot of ways, especially when you're working together. But you do have to somebody has to be in charge,
Right.
And tell
Yeah.
people like,
and then you add in the entertainment side of it,
Right.
where it's like party, have
Right.
fun, like let's be hosts,
yeah.
and things can slip out of the way. Like, one of our big things lately is like you have to have your vegetables too.
Mhm.
It's not just the dessert,
Just
the icing,
ice
or even
cream.
meat and potatoes.
Right.
You gotta have those desserts, and I hate, or like vegetables. I hate vegetables. So
Right.
like, pretty picky.
Really?
Yeah, I hate beets, lima beans, peas.
What, just because
What about broccoli?
They're grown from the
I-
earth?
actually, broccoli is the absolute fucking worst for me.
Really? Like baked broccoli with some olive oil and some
some-
salt and pepper.
Okay,
chicken.
random like
Boy.
side story. Like the
Fire
the
away.
few times I ate broccoli as a kid, every time I ate it, I got sick. Like I vomited up within 2 to 3 hours
Oh.
later. Because yes, covered in ranch, covered in cheese.
Mhm.
It was delicious.
Yeah.
But
Well,
then I would get sick, so
that makes
I was
sense.
like, I'm done.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
You have a bad memory.
I might be
with-
allergic. I might
broccoli.
not. Like my parents were that generation that was like,
Eat your
let's
veggies.
just see. Like, no, I'm not taking you to the doctor. You know how much that costs?
Oh,
Let's see if you die.
Yeah.
Then we'll know.
Are you
Just
dead?
Sleep
Yeah.
it off. Just sleep it off. You'll be fine.
Right. It'll
Yeah.
be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm starting to
So-
think my parents were that generation too, because like I just got allergy testing the last couple of years, and I'm like allergic to everything.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Exactly.
I felt like a piece of garbage most of my life.
His
Now
back,
I know why.
You know how they prick the back? His
Oh, yeah.
back was like
Mhm.
inflamed.
I look like a
a
checkerboard.
burn victim.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was bad.
Yeah, it was
exactly.
really bad.
You know, now, yes, nowadays they're like taking their kids, getting that done
Right,
when
when
they're
they're, like,
young,
born.
right away.
Yeah.
But also the technology is advanced to make it affordable to do that stuff
Yeah.
too.
It's
you
true.
know?
Yeah. I think
So-
that's why I've always been kind of swollen, is I've just been eating a lot of stuff that I've been allergic to for like the past 30
I'm not
years.
fat. I'm just
I'm
swollen.
permanently swollen.
Yeah.
Inflamed is what I like to call
That's
it.
good.
so.
That's good. Well, you know, back on track. We're glad that you're here with us. So you know, like we tell everybody, you know, my parents listen to the podcast.
Yes. I've met your parents.
You have multiple times.
Yes.
And they still once in a while ask me how you're doing.
That's nice.
Like, oh, how is Susan doing? And I'm like, well, you know, she's putting on a big show, so I bet you she's probably stressed
always
right
busy.
now.
Always busy.
Yeah. But anyway, so they listen to the podcast. They know who you are, but you know, remind them.
Like,
Well,
Actually, tell Kyle's parents. but-
yeah. Tell my parents, because my parents don't get
I'm
out
pretty
much.
sure I've met your
Yeah.
parents too, because you
At
had
the
your
wedding.
wedding.
Oh
at
yeah.
Williwaw.
Yeah.
That is true.
Oh my goodness. We have
I'm in
How did you
Williwaw.
forget that?
that connection. Now.
Yeah.
That was what, 2016?
2016?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I never
You know,
forget my
we-
anniversary.
We had just been open a year, you know. Like
Yeah.
you guys were the first wedding to ever
I believe
be
so.
inside of Williwaw, you know.
Yeah, because I think I was super stoked that your wedding was at Williwaw because because it was brand new and I was like a big advocate for Williwaw. Like back
Right.
then, I was like, oh, screw the Pio, screw going.
Yeah, that's where I was going to have my wedding. It was
Let's
actually
go
the Pio.
Williwaw.
And then I was like,
I just
Or
loved
the
it so
Avenue.
much.
I was
Yeah.
deciding.
the Buckaroo Club was a close second. And then I was like, Williwaw.
yeah. I just love Williwaw so much, and so I was super excited. And then we had your wedding, but now we're
yeah.
still getting sidetracked.
I'm the general manager, venue manager,
Yeah.
Williwaw Social. Been there since day one, kind of, as we call it, like straddled the street in the beginning, you know, like worked at Humpy's. That's where I kind
Mhm.
of got my start into all of like being in a bar and restaurant as far as that goes, and like booking music and so on and so forth. But
Mhm.
general manager is kind of a very broad term for me.
Right.
Like, I kind of took on the role of general manager through the pandemic as out of necessity, because it went down to just literally me and our
Yeah.
chef D, and that was it. Like somebody produce food and somebody to be boots on the ground, even taking orders, cleaning.
I know.
You know, like
Yeah.
it was pretty brutal.
Yeah, every time I was there, you were doing anything and everything.
Yeah, anything and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, security, cleaning,
Yep.
orders.
So you're
Serving.
you're a jack of all trades.
Jill.
Yeah.
Jill of all
trades.
trades. I was trying to think of. I was like Jackette of all trades?
Renaissance woman.
Yeah.
Jacked of all trades.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. So when you getting into the event space, let's go back. You know, now let's take it back, as we say. Let's look back.
Is that what they say?
Nope, we haven't said that once actually. Uh,
Look back at it.
Yeah.
That's what he says.
I used to say, looking back at me. Do you remember that song by
Looking back at
Crossfade?
me.
Looking back at me.
Yes.
And then that was an oldie for people.
We're actually going to get that as a
listen.
sound clip.
We should. We really should.
So anytime we
Looking
reflect.
back at me,
Yeah.
I see. Okay, good song.
Noted.
Yeah. That was Matt for everybody, our podcast producer. Anyway, so, let's take it back. And, how did you even get into this space?
Man.
Because I feel
That
like
is just
there's a lot of ways you could go.
long-winded. And I'm not great at telling stories because I'm also like, squirrel, hold on. I got to go back to this.
That's the
and then
best
all
way
of
to
a
tell
sudden
stories.
it's like, I'm just like all over the board. And then I'm like, wait, I gotta pull myself back too.
We call them
But,
bunny trails.
We don't, but yes.
I think really where it all kind of started was getting a part-time job, being an admin assistant for Morris Communications.
Okay.
Reception, like answering the phones downstairs. Morris Communications at the time owned, K-Well, K-Bear, KFQD, Mix 103.1. And I'd always wanted to be in radio. I thought it was the coolest thing as a kid. My dad taking me to school, riding in his work van, sitting on a pile of pipe fit, like copper, a bucket, because we had me and my siblings. It was a van, work van, all three of us sitting in the front of the truck. So two people sharing the actual seat and somebody sitting on a bucket of tools or fittings.
Hell yeah.
So,
You make do.
Comfy.
I always thought that the morning show, the radio DJs had one of the best jobs ever.
I did too. I always wanted to be
And so
one.
I always wanted to be in radio.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I saw them post a part-time position for a receptionist, I knew I could get my foot in the door.
Interesting. What was it about radio DJs that got you hooked?
I mean, it seemed so fun.
The trivia.
So easy,
Trivia.
fun.
Yep.
Giveaways.
Oh,
it was
man.
just something different every day, I mean, this is the heyday of kind of radio as
Yeah.
well, a little bit.
I remember listening to Bob and Mark and just being
Yeah, same.
those guys must be rich. They're so cool and popular. I was
Meanwhile, little did we know they were night lighting as DJs as well, and
trying to make ends meet. And I'm
trying to
over here being like, oh,
Yeah.
I know.
They probably get
Yeah.
all the women. That's what I thought. Yeah.
yeah.
So radio was a huge draw for me, and that just kind of got my foot in the door. And then randomly, and then I went to TV for a minute. I worked at KTVA Channel 11 before it got bought out by, I don't know, GCI or whatever. And
Yeah.
that was a small little stint. TV wasn't really my thing. I like to be behind the curtains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Part of what I do now is being the puppet master and kind of I don't know,
That's
getting joy out of that versus being in front of people per se,
That's
I
the
was never
title.
on air on the or TV. That's horrible.
Sure.
That's the title of our podcast, The Ultimate Puppet Master.
The puppet master.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. I always I look at that position and I look at it two ways because everybody wants to be the rock star in front of the crowd. But then when you really analyze that, it's not that great sometimes. There's a lot of aspects that are negative.
100%.
Being the face or famous or all
People
that stuff.
talking about you.
You have no
I just
privacy,
you have
nothing
no
anymore.
Yeah, all these things.
And
right?
so a lot of people, I think, overlook the behind the scenes success where you get satisfaction from stuff that you do, and yet the common folk don't know who you are necessarily.
Yeah.
And so it's that's kind of, you can go out to dinner and not get bothered versus
Not really
somebody
anymore,
that's right. It's
but not in this town.
right. And so, yeah, I mean, it's
Flex.
there's-
That was a flex.
That's exactly the point, right?
yeah, you can go somewhere
and there's so many people in those fields,
oh yeah.
there's the tech crews, there's
Yeah.
people like me, there's, all kinds of
guitar
people.
techs,
Yeah, the
that's other
guitar
thing.
techs, the sound techs, the
all those
AV
guys.
techs, the visual techs now. I mean, visuals are a huge part of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So you obviously, being drawn to radio, had some sort of pull towards music at a young age, I would assume?
absolutely. Yeah.
Do you recall the band, the album, the genre that kind of was this is my jam? This is why I
That's
love.
pretty hard to I mean, I was into New Kids in the Block when I was in fourth grade.
Okay.
Of course.
And then Smashing Pumpkins and Nine Inch
oh,
Nails.
nice.
And K-Well was, like the ultimate dream to work for because that
Right.
was the type of music I
Yeah.
was into. But like growing up in my house, my dad was very adamant about like TV is garbage and it's
Okay.
called the boob tube. And like,
Boob tube.
yeah, he would limit our TV. So like music in the house was like a huge deal. Like we could play music nearly anytime we wanted. And
I respect that. I like that.
yeah, he always had a big like record album collection. This is back in the day. You go to Costco and get your CDs. Like he would come back with like 8 new CDs. Sometimes he didn't even know who it was, and he'd be like, "This is garbage. I don't like this," and give it to us. And it's like it's Alice in Chains, it's Sublime,
wow.
it's like My Chemical Romance, like all this random stuff.
He must
But
have been
he's
getting like
it
top
was a
10.
buy 6 get 2 free or something.
Yeah.
So I just
Oh,
picked
yeah.
whatever it was, right?
man.
Like
Sam Goody, I think, had a lot of
all
those
that.
deals
Yes,
like
Sam
that.
yeah.
Goody.
No, I mean that
Wow.
was one thing that was always in our stockings was like, gift cards to places like Sam Goody's, or there was another place in the mall. I don't even remember what they were,
Yeah.
but music was like a
Yeah.
big part of our household and like my life. And my dad was a big influence on that. Like he went to the Stevie Ray Vaughan concert here, which is kind of like an iconic thing. I don't know
Oh,
if
yeah.
you guys know the
Yeah.
story. Like he died shortly thereafter. Like
Yeah.
Alaska was like his last
One of the
live.
last, yeah.
One of his
Yeah.
last shows. I remember like crying to my dad, like, please, I want to go to Stevie Ray Vaughan. He's like, you're not old enough. And I'm like, I want to go.
Where did he
Oh,
actually
wow.
play at? Was
The
it?
Sullivan. Yeah, I'm
was
pretty
it?
sure it was the Sullivan.
Because there's like a famous picture of him eating, and I can't
He
remember.
probably went, I think, Club Paris or something. I don't know.
It might have been. There's a picture of him and his like tour manager or somebody like eating at a restaurant. That's like a famous one of his last pictures.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't really. Yeah, I mean, I knew he
SRV,
died.
baby.
So yeah, my dad was very, and then unbeknownst to me, and I did not realize this until years down the road when I started working for like Humpies and Williwaw. Like my family's message, my aunt, she's like, your dad was a concert promoter for a very short time.
Mm.
I was like, I did not.
Oh.
And then I went through some of our like his old stuff, and I found like this 45 that was signed by this like one artist that I think he put on one show, maybe 2 ever.
Still,
And
that's
so
cool though.
like
That runs in the family.
Yeah.
music was a big thing for
Yeah.
me and always will be.
Was there? Do you remember your first album per se that you got?
Lisa Loeb.
Oh
Lisa
wow.
Loeb.
Yeah. Yeah. The whatever was like, I don't remember. Okay.
Specifically, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Guys are way better about remembering name, album titles, like all of that. I'm not good at that. But
No.
it was the one with Stay on It. Come on.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
The
that was
one.
that
The
was my
main
first
one.
CD. Yes.
I remember my sister had her drawer and it had I'd always open it and there was a big button, like the pin buttons of the New Kids on the Block. So when you said that, I just like took me back to being
I mean,
like
that
a
might have
little
been like a
kid.
cassette back then.
Right. But it was like, it was a button that she had that had them all on there. And I was like, these are like what girls like, these boys right here. Like, they all look the boy band stereotypical. I was like, this is what I need to be. This is what I need to get to.
Yeah.
Yes, some of my prized possessions was like a New Kids on the Block, like towel and like pillow
Oh, wow.
and like stupid like posters.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
But the
love
boy
it.
band
You
craze
know,
was
yeah.
huge.
it was.
Which one of them was it?
I was
Backstreet Boys?
also a big fan of Paula Abdul back then.
Oh, man.
Like female singers and artists are also a huge influence for me too.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Which one of the boy bands was it Backstreet Boys that got taken advantage by their producer? Like he took all their
Yes.
money.
Yes, I believe
Yeah.
it was. Yeah, I believe.
I was
yes.
like, geez, they got like 0 royalties or something for.
Can you
their big-
imagine? No.
It happens all the time.
Yeah, but I mean, when you're a
Sad.
kid and like you don't know what you're doing,
Yeah,
for
exactly.
sure.
Yeah.
easy to happen. So you went through the radio route, short stint in TV. What happens after that? That kind of
So I see the most I'm not very happy at TV. I'm like, this is boring. I was
Right.
working in what they call the traffic department, which is like you schedule ads.
Oh, yeah.
It's not that exciting.
Sounds boring.
Yeah. Administrative office. I see a random ad on Craigslist for a promotions marketing manager for Humpies, Sub-Zero, and Flat Top. pizza.
Yeah.
And at the time, Flat Top Pizza had not opened up. So
Mm.
there was like a part of me that was like, did they put a pizza place on top of Flat Top Mountain? Like, I was
Yeah.
so confused at first. I
It's like
didn't know
7
anything
glaciers.
about this. The funny part,
Hell yeah, dude.
right? And it was
That'd be
literally,
so
it was like
cool.
on Craigslist. It was a 2-sentence ad. That's it. Like very short and sweet. And unbeknownst to me, the story goes is that the owners told the GM of Humpies and Sub-Zero and the soon-to-be Flat Top to put an ad on like monster.com and like find some superstar from out of state. And when he found out it was like $600 per listing, he was like a cheap ass. It was like he posted on Craigslist
Craigslist is
without
good.
their permission.
Oh, nice.
And they asked him about the applications, and he was like, so I didn't post on Monster, but I did post on Craigslist, and here's a pile of people who are local.
Yeah.
And somehow I got the job.
You got
I put in
Yeah,
the
you know, I
men's-
think everything is supposed to happen for a reason sometimes.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
pretty cool because I feel like that it's funny how you see the synchronicities, with your dad and music and concert promotion. And it's like all of a sudden, like that was like the universe just
That's where it was directing me
aligned,
before I
Yeah.
even knew about it,
which is cool.
In radio, I wasn't always I wasn't necessarily an on-air personality. I also held like a essentially sales assistant position, like helping them, and promotion assistant. So
Mhm.
going off site, helping them put on events, like making, proposals for the salespeople, all kinds of like gift certificates, learning graphic design. I mean,
Yeah, all of it.
yeah. I was there for 7 years, so I learned a lot.
Oh wow. Yeah, see, that's the thing. A lot of people don't understand that in a marketing position, especially if you're like one person marketing team, you do everything.
Yeah.
And people just think like, oh, and this was before Canva or any of
Oh
those
my
simple
God,
tools.
I love Canva so much.
Yeah, but like you were having to learn.
I pretty much don't do Photoshop at all anymore. I miss,
but
like
you
sometimes
did
I
it,
miss
though.
it, but I did.
You
Yes,
did.
I
That's what
learned
I'm saying.
Photoshop all on my own.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like you
through
had to
trial
learn.
and error, YouTube, like
Social media
Lydia.com,
ads.
like yeah.
There's so much.
I look back on my original graphic designs and I'm like, that was complete garbage, and I never want anyone to see it ever again.
That's
I
everybody.
know you feel that.
That's everybody.
That's going to be the album artwork for this episode. It's one of your old.
We're gonna go find
posters.
all of them. Just a
Yes.
grid of all of them.
Look how far she's come.
She's doing Canva.
Well,
now.
yeah, nowadays I have somebody way better doing
Yeah.
my graphics for me.
Yeah.
I know, which I want to get into because I think that's fascinating as far as like, you were one person, basically a team, and then now you have like this amazing set of crew. But that's skipping ahead. So let's talk about, just you started doing shows, you started concert promoting, you started doing events, right?
Right.
And I would imagine my whole thing is like we go way back, and so we've talked about this a lot, and so I know a little bit inside of the process that what goes into like coming up with events and trying to get people in the door every day. But like in my head, I'm just like I'm exhausted thinking about it. Right?
It's a grind, yeah.
It really
when
is.
you're,
Continuously being creative.
5 days a week,
Yeah.
getting, Willowaw's very much become like an event space. So it's all about events. Pre-pandemic in the year 2019, we had 973 events officially on our calendar.
Oh my
And that
gosh.
ranges from like Geeks Who Drink, like trivia,
Yeah.
to paint nights, to big concerts, to private parties, to whiskey tastings.
Yeah.
So just a DJ on the roof on Tuesdays. But, so some things take a little more love than other things.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
But still,
but
it's
that's
like,
a lot. And when a business is only open 5 days a week,
Yeah.
do the math,
Right.
like 365 days, take away 2 days. So yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And then,
Yeah.
like
I think
for-
the most we ever did on one day was like 9 events.
Damn.
yeah, like there's not very many people that don't know what Williwaw is, but like the description.
I'm still surprised when people are like, this is
Right.
my first time. Wait, I had one this week and they were like, this is my first time at Williwaw.
Really?
Yeah, like layout, like give us a quick layout of what's
Yeah.
in there.
Good call.
I mean,
good call.
Williwaw is a multi-use facility. It's had many things in it. It used to have a coffee shop.
Right.
That moved away during the pandemic. On the second floor, it used to be, speakeasy. That's the one thing about Williwaw. It's always evolving. But, we have 3 floors. Rooftop bar.
Mhm.
Beautiful rooftop bar. It makes you feel
Right
like
in the
you're
heart of
It makes you feel
downtown.
like you're in a city and not like we're not worried about having the most beautiful sunset inlet view,
Right.
Instead the feel is to like make you feel like this is a big city.
Right.
Yeah.
And like we
You
are
feel it,
moving forward towards that. And then the second floor, we have some arcade games and we have another bar. It's called the Speakeasy currently. It started off as the Speakeasy and like it's just changed and evolved, much like Williwaw has,
Mhm.
And then the first floor, we have our box office space and bar, and then 2 other rooms that we call the dining hall and the social hall, and it all like merges kind of together,
Right.
And
It's
Yeah.
a big old space.
and there's a basement.
Really?
Yes.
Does it connect to anything? Is
It's
there
like
like
a-
an underground tunnel?
There's a few people
There's, like,
at
a tunnel.
Williwaw who work there really are into like ghost hunting that want
What's their names?
Emily
Emily?
and Pootie's like girlfriend. I say like girlfriend on our
Whatever.
friend, my
Yeah.
friend Shannon, who want to bring in like ghost hunting equipment in there, and
Oh
I'm like,
my
hell
God.
no, nope,
Why?
not gonna let you do it because I don't want you to ruin it for me.
Because you don't want there
I've
to be
seen
ghosts?
some shit when it comes to that, like a Ouija
In
board.
Williwaw?
Well, not in Williwaw, but like in other people's house, like a Ouija board literally moving on its own with nobody touching. I'm like, I don't want that. Like, you don't need to be opening portals inside of Williwaw. Things are already crazy enough. Okay.
But what if sales went through the roof?
Huh?
Come
What
see
if-
the ghost.
Yeah.
It's a really old building. So it started out as a YMCA,
Oh,
Mhm.
definitely
and then
ghosts.
it was
Yeah.
the Covenant
People
House.
definitely died there.
It was the Covenant House, a youth shelter and center for troubled youth,
Oh my God.
And
I didn't know
so, yeah, it's been in the town for a long time.
Well, we'd be very curious about
Yeah.
ghost hunting. So if that does happen, call us. We'll video it.
You'll video
We'll
it.
document it. Maybe we'll do a
We'll come make
podcast.
sure there aren't ghosts.
Yeah. Be like, guys, we're ghost hunting right now in Williwaw. Like we'll do
Yeah.
a podcast live.
No. Don't tell her.
I mean, you've been in the basement,
Yeah.
Steven. You have too, Kyle.
I don't
Yeah.
think so.
Really?
Yeah, you have.
You have.
That's where
The
that's
green
where
room is?
Yeah, that's the green room.
Yeah, the green room.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been in that. Yeah.
because that was where like we got ready for
No,
your
no,
wedding.
I didn't know that was like.
That's the
downstairs.
basement. You
That's-
think there's something below that?
That's what I was saying.
Oh, I thought you were okay. I was like, he knows. He's been there.
I thought you meant like like a hatch door.
Oh, well, maybe.
I'm
Maybe
sure
it's
there is.
I mean, I
There's-
don't know. It's a very solid concrete building. Like,
Mm.
That we know of.
We need to do a
Mhm.
sleepover there.
Yeah. Oh, that's
I've
actually not
talked
a bad
about a
idea.
Williwaw lock-in, like with
Oh,
friends and family.
wow, what a good
Remember
idea.
the lock-in?
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
With
Yeah.
like flashlight tag.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
God.
man.
People crying, they want to go home.
Yeah, that would be
Sissies.
me. That would be me.
We
for
did those
sure.
at my church.
Yeah.
Oh
and
yeah, 100%.
in the main auditorium, you have all the stuff there, and we had the baptismal up there and stuff. So kids were like trying to sneak up there and go swimming, of course, and try to meet Jesus again. But we would play tag in the aisles, and then you would jump over a pew and like break your legs.
Yeah,
and like somebody's
exactly.
crying and blood is. It was a great time.
There's lack of chaperones.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that was always the
Yeah.
nice part.
Mm.
Yeah.
Or the chaperones go to bed early, and then you're just
Yeah.
let loose.
I know.
So yeah, I mean, most people know what Williwaw is or have some
Yeah.
kind of idea,
yeah.
but yeah, I'm still surprised to this day. Like people are like, "This is my first time here."
Yeah.
Well, I think the pandemic really ruined going downtown for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Myself, like, included besides family, but it's just like I don't find myself, let's go downtown that often anymore because it's just, you kind of got used to staying home on the weekend.
Right.
Because I was,
For sure. And
Yeah.
we still see that all the
Sure.
time. Like people still choosing to like stay home and not quarantine, but just give
Yeah.
themselves space. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, the pandemic did a number on all of us in all kinds of different ways,
Yeah.
Like
if I could
I
abandon
mean,
my kids and go downtown,
there was
would.
a part of me that absolutely hated everybody who got to stay home all the time. Meanwhile, I'm like having to go to work and make burgers. I wasn't making them, but like
Be a part of it.
I was like,
burgers.
I hate all this where I could be making pretty much close to what I was making, just sitting at home doing
Yeah.
absolutely nothing, going insane from doing nothing because I'm not that person. So, the grass is always greener.
Right.
I get that.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
I think that brings up a good point because actually I was just having a conversation with someone. I was like, during the pandemic, it made me super introverted, right? It made me, and now I'm like, I'm a homebody, and when I go out, I'm gonna go out, but like I don't go out that much anymore, right? So I see like every weekend come to Williwaw, but like now I'm not getting out much. Like, what are some of the things that like you've seen, you've been trying to pull people out? Like, hey, look, we're doing this now, like, so I mean, like, kind of goes back to that question of like events, kind of creative, like being creative, and like, do you brainstorm these? You're like, okay, what do we got today, guys? Like, let's, give me what you got.
I mean,
you come with 5 ideas.
Yeah,
You're
sure.
fired.
I have a whole note in my phone, it's just like party ideas that are
that's
like,
cool.
because like constantly inspirations will come to
Can you
you.
bring those up?
And some of them are kind of like ripoffs of others, but that's all like we all do, especially, I mean,
recycled.
I mean, just a random example, like, so emo nights, we do emo nights.
Yeah.
We've greatly successful with emo nights with Showdown. I mean, we worked with Showdown
Those are my
as a
favorite.
co-promoter, as a, strategic partner for pretty much since we've opened up, and it's been amazing because, they can bring up stuff, we can bring up stuff, we come together, and we're even more of a driving force. But there are nationally touring emo nights.
Really?
Yes.
Is it like that guy?
Like Live Nation and like,
big time.
I mean, so essentially like they find somebody in an emo band and wants to come up and DJ, right? Like I went to one in Vegas. It was at Brooklyn Bowl in Vegas, which is a bowling alley. I know it's very confusing if you ask me, but
Who was it? Who was there?
I can't remember. I mean, there's so many emo people in Vegas that weekend. It was when we were young.
Oh, yeah.
So everybody in the entire.
We went to like the Arts District to a very small venue, and I think it was the drummer for Dashboard was DJing
dope.
emo night at a very small club, and it wasn't even that packed.
That's why I wanted Thera just to be like a one-hit wonder, just so I could live off that for the rest of my life. Oh, the bass player for Thera's DJing this random bar in the Art District. Let's go.
He's playing sucky music.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, an Avatar rave.
Oh, okay.
Everybody's blue, and it's all blacklit.
Yeah,
That's
something
not
like
bad.
that.
That's not bad.
Like some of the production that would go into it and make it feel like it's actually like what you want to go to is, you really have to think about those things. Like
A lot of black
again,
light.
the emo night, you can just put whatever DJ up there, but if you elevate it by having like a photo booth and decorations and maybe a giveaway at the door, or prizes to win, like what it's all about nowadays, you see it at festivals, is like the experience, the photo ops, like what you can share on your social media. Like people want content, they want something special. So like you gotta, elevate everything.
You gotta give people something they can brag about.
Yeah,
They were there
so
and
with the Avatar rave, I would love to see people on stilts dressed up like full on avatars.
Oh man.
And I wouldn't be able to call it Avatar rave because they would totally sue me.
Ravatar.
Well, and so that kind of stems,
guy.
and I would not be surprised if there's people already working on it. It stems from, on social media, they have Shrek raves. They have to change the name. I think it's called like something swamp thing, like
Ogre raves.
Like exactly. They had to change the name, and they were doing Bikini Bottom rave. So like a SpongeBob theme, but like the Shrek rave is where it all started. They have like an animatronic donkey. They use like crap ton of like green lights, and people are going crazy dressing up like characters of Shrek.
How fun is that?
So like those throwbacks, tapping into what's currently popular.
Yeah.
Shortly after when the pandemic happened and Tiger King came out and we all became obsessed, I was like, I want to do a Tiger King party.
Yeah.
And I threw one, and it wasn't that big of a deal because it was like 9 months later or whatever it was when we finally got around to be able to do one.
Yeah.
So
I would imagine, and that's the thing too. Like there was probably got to be some things where you're like, I'm fucking stoked on this.
Yes.
And you work really, really fucking hard.
And then
like it
just like a band, cricket.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, like, in your line of work, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with like, oh shit, man? Like, because
Well, you either put the idea to rest and never do it again.
just like put it in the old
or
coffin
you're like,
and
you
lock
know
it
what?
up.
It wasn't that bad, and we need to do better about this. Like getting it up, like sooner, getting the word out sooner. Again, elevating it. Like we've been working kind of on this like disco cowboy, disco cowgirl idea, y'alternative, for quite a while. Y'alternative,
Dope.
right?
Is that a genre?
It is.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Is that like
So like we had Y'alternative Tuesdays up in the Speakeasy. Like we primed the idea. What you really should do is like try your event or like start priming the pump somewhere small. Smaller, right?
Okay.
Like sometimes just going big doesn't mean a big win.
Right.
So
You gotta test the waters with a smaller
right,
room.
and like especially in Anchorage or in Alaska, we're always kind of behind the times. But if you were to research, disco cowgirl, disco cowboy, any y'alternative like down the States, like that kind of party is gonna be popping up for you all the time.
Really?
Yeah, all over. Even when we were young, they were having some kind of like y'alternative like party, which mixes emo and country. Like,
is that what it is?
Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
a little bit. Plus disco, plus like just straight up mashing with
Interesting.
shit. Yeah, like all the genres.
The alternative.
I've never heard of it.
I've never heard of it either.
I'm so out of the
But that's another thing.
So we
those are the
threw like
introvertedness.
one disco cowgirl party and it wasn't huge. But then on the next one, we did way better. We got Roland Roberts Band to open and like having that live band. Again, multiple things. Like we have a live band, we got a photo booth, we got, giveaways, this, that, and the other. Well, the way we took it and elevated it was like I reached out to Alaska Potbelly Pig Rescue.
I did see pictures of this. This went viral almost.
It went viral.
Yeah.
People were coming up to the door and they're like, "Is the pig still here?" Like, "If the pig's still here, I'm not paying the cover."
Okay, buddy.
And the pig got tired around midnight. I was like, next time you're going to have to bring 2 pigs.
Yeah.
But they brought a pig and a blue and gold macaw as
Oh
well.
my gosh,
so,
that's cool,
like
yeah.
it was really cool. We gave them a cut of the door, but on top of that, people were paying, $5, $10, maybe even $20, if not more, to get their picture with the pig.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because that's cool. Like you want
It's just again,
you want that photo up.
look what I did.
Yeah, your one opportunity.
Right. It's FOMO. It's like look at
look at what I did.
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but lately I get really like self-conscious about what I post.
Oh, here we
I
go.
just feel like I'm just like selling like come to my event, come party with me, like come to trivia, come to paint night, come to this, come to that. And like even like my personal stuff, like it's just millions of photos that are never to be seen in some ways. Like
I feel that is a relationship that only our generation has to deal with because of the social media aspect. And it's like, yes, I'm very...
We were there before that wasn't there.
Yeah. And so it's like, I don't know. I think my relationship with social media or what I'm posting is like, has been tainted since the beginning.
Yeah. Right?
Because it's like, it's like, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. And then that's what you see other people and you're like, oh, that's what I want to do. And then yeah, of course. I mean, you look at my Facebook and it's like only go fix yourself stuff.
Right.
Or only like stuff that I'm doing.
Williwaw. Like,
so
my Facebook page essentially has become like nearly like quote a public profile. Like back in the day, it was like, oh look, I can connect with my family in like Texas and like Michigan, and that's all great, and like old high school friends. And now it's just become like a marketing tool, whether that is for the business I work for or for myself.
Personal brand.
Yeah, exactly.
I get
As
that.
a personal brand and any brand, you can't just like post anything you want anymore. Like it used to be, you could post whatever. Stupid food pictures, whatever. Like, it's not, nobody cares anymore. They're like overwhelmed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a little bit to do with it. I mean, because like, even with this podcast, we're like, go listen to the episode go check it out, subscribe, go check it out. It's like constant. And you're like, how do you, and I think it keeps coming back to like, how do you add value to that person? Right. That's what I think. That's what the big social media gurus are trying to say. Like, how do you add value to your audience?
They got to find out after they subscribe. That's
yeah.
That's what I tell everybody.
Yeah, and so I think that's the thing is like, I'm trying to figure that out. Is like, what do we provide?
Right.
What's the value?
What's your edge?
Yes.
That makes them want to make sure they hit like or that they
hit subscribe
share or they
hit
subscribe.
comment. That's a good reminder.
And there's so much content. We're like overwhelmed. You know, like. Yeah.
My hardest part is like if you like with Go Fix Yourself, that's the main thing I want to like promote. And like if I post like a holiday picture of me and the family, it's like this is out of left field on my personal page. Like, I kind of look at it as like I'm not good at managing multiple.
And then
brands.
on the other side of that is you could have 2 pages, but then it's just it feels overwhelming. Like I mean, just with Williwaw and all those different pages, and nowadays it's even more like divided. There's people just on Snapchat. Like they're not on Instagram. They're not on Facebook.
Yeah.
Snapchat's still a thing, which is
with like a certain generation, with the kids
crowd.
who are just turning 21 right now.
It's huge.
And like, really? I mean, people, see, like
all the kids are big into it.
Alicia
literally
still
like, I think like 32, 34 and under and like that, like 19, that's like their Instagram for us. If I guess I could relate to that,
That's what all the teenagers
and now you got TikTok coming on the scene.
Yeah.
Like it hasn't been here for like 3-4 years or
got
whatever.
This small app coming up in the scene. Are you guys posting on Snapchat?
Yeah. I mean, sort of. I mainly use Snapchat for boosting ads.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Sure.
Boost ads, like which we all know. Story, ad, story, ad.
I remember the big thing I like when Snapchat was really big, I was like, ooh, I want to make our own filter. And
I remember we worked on this with the Snow Pro.
Yeah, I was obsessed with making filters and like, what can I do next? And for like theater shows, and I was like, you can only get it in this box.
Because that was the big thing. Like Snapchat was all about the filters. Remember the dog filter, like all those filters. Like I look back at when that first kind of was a thing, and like there's so many photos. Oh, the dog filter. Like with the family or.
Yeah, like, check this out. Like, open your mouth.
And it goes really big. I literally watched a video of that with like me and my family. Like, let's just fuck around with Snapchat filters for an hour and like take videos.
That was a thing.
That was a thing. Yeah.
Now you just do it on TikTok.
You try out, the thing is you try out those filters and then you're like, nope, you don't save it. You don't do anything anymore. And I guess that kind of goes back to my point about like how things have changed and things will continue to change on a very rapid speed constantly, that you have to like always be learning and like adapting. Yeah. Especially when you're trying to capture new, young 21-year-olds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think
for event purposes.
Event purposes.
Yeah. Let's just clarify.
Sorry.
Asterisk. Yeah. I do feel like social media has revealed like how many like narcissists we have, because like you're saying, like a TikTok filter, I will do it and to myself to see what it looks like. I will never have the guts to post it. Yeah. Like when you're playing around with the silly ones. But there's people out there that they're like, you know what? I look pretty good. I'm going to post this one. I'll post
that glamour one is, I mean, people are freaking out over it. And like, not going to lie, I mean, it makes people look really good.
I sent my wife a snapshot of that. Just to
I mean, next thing you know, there'll be like some hologram that we can just put that like filter on our face at all times. Just some necklace. Like Star Trek was like, Star Trek nerd.
Yeah. Are you?
All the way.
Star Trek?
Way more than Star Wars. Yeah.
We just had a Star Wars guy.
Yeah. What about Star Trek?
It was my dad's favorite.
Oh.
Like
nostalgic.
it was his thing. Yeah.
Trekkie.
The reruns that played on Channel 2 around, I think it was like 3:30, 4 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Right. He would go to Costco and buy
CDs.
VHS,
Oh.
blank VHSs, and make us record the episodes.
Heck
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
And we would have to sit up front and like pause it when the commercials. I mean, like,
Oh,
yeah,
wow, you
it was
did
a
that.
chore. It was literally part of our like
Wow.
duties as
I
children in the household.
We
Yeah.
never did the pausing. We just were
Oh
like,
no, my dad
let
wasn't
it
watching
go.
any commercials. He
Good
was,
for him. He was ahead of his time.
Yeah.
Oh,
He
yeah.
had TiVo right here.
Yeah.
you know, like the remotes always get lost in a household. Like the remote was gone, so then we had to like go up and push the button physically, like sit there and like,
Like,
yes.
oh shit, commercial.
Oh yes. Sometimes we would be like, oh fuck, it's halfway through the commercial break, or forget to hit record
Oh.
after it
Oh,
started.
no.
But yeah, that's the same thing. I mean, like you see those memes with like same thing with music, like waiting, recording, blank
Yeah.
tapes, you know, like
Yeah.
cassettes. Like that's when I grew up. Like, and I've listened to your guys' podcast and you guys talk about like the underground and like Beatles a little bit
Yeah.
and stuff. And like I was a little further ahead of you guys with like
Sure.
gigs. So gigs was like my thing, you know, like that's when I like saw a lot of you don't know what gigs is?
That
you
doesn't
said
ring a bell.
you literally said it yourself. It was before our time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a lot of people who are disappointed in you.
You know
right
what?
now.
I'm
They would
sorry.
not be the first nor the last. Okay.
I mean, it was before the
My
underground.
parents
So like,
listening. Okay.
man, I think it's actually. It used to be like where the fire station, like the police station downtown,
Yeah.
further downtown, not the one
Okay.
across from Pio, like way down there.
Yeah.
There was like a dilapidated, like 2-story building. That was like one of the few all ages places. Gigs. Agent Orange played there.
Oh.
I believe Blink 182 played there
Oh,
before they
that's where they
got
played. I thought
big.
they
I mean,
played
36.
Coots.
That was the first time I saw 36.
Oh wow.
There was a couple of bands that were from Diamond that played there. There was one called Foo Bar. But at the time that was like the big band at Diamond when I was in high school. So we'd always
Foo
go and
Bar.
see there. But my dad didn't like me to go there. So a lot of times I had to lie about being there. So I didn't necessarily get to go there as much as like, yeah.
Right.
It's easier for dudes to be like, I mean,
Yeah.
I was my dad's only girl. He was very protective of me.
Aw.
I get that. I
Yeah.
get that. It's
Yeah.
hard.
You got a daughter now.
I know.
huh?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I've
I'm
already
looking at 'em.
planned. She's headed to the nunnery next year.
Yeah. Enjoy freedom while you got
Yeah.
it, Caroline.
He's building a basement where she's gonna be locked in.
Yeah.
Chastity belt, like blacksmithing.
No,
it.
that's I'm just going to the nunnery. That's it. Yeah, it is. It is tough. I get that because
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about sending your only daughter to a grungy concert
At the
place,
time
like,
before cell phones,
my
God.
before you
Yeah.
could like track them.
yeah,
Like so many things.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
disappointed that but I was late to the music scene as well. I didn't find
Same.
live music till I was like playing music till I was.
That's
like,
another thing. We grew up
19.
Christian.
Yeah.
And I wasn't
Right.
allowed to, I wasn't even allowed to go to 36 Crazy Fist concert,
Yeah.
like early on.
Right.
Oh yeah, I went
So-
to a couple Christian concerts at that church on
ABT?
DeBar. No, it was further down DeBar near the Walmart. That's like on the left, like just short of Walmart, whatever it is. But it was like a
Oh.
church, and I remember seeing like a Christian rock concert there. I was like, oh, this is kind of dope.
Yeah. I was like, that was my gigs.
Yeah.
Was Wasilla Assembly of God.
Watching the hands go up.
going to Rock Fest.
Yeah,
Lost
Sun-
Concept.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Would makeshift.
yeah. I don't-
Freaking yeah.
House parties, like,
Yeah.
the
I was never invited.
The Sand
Nor
Lake,
was I.
the Sand Lake sand pits, like pop-up parties.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like a really, unique time that the next generations will never know. It's like
Yeah.
getting a call, or like there was no texting. Like somebody had to call you, or you had to be like hanging out with your friends to know what was going on.
Right.
yeah.
And even then they're calling the home phone number.
Oh yeah.
Right. And my dad was like, no calls after 9. Like he was pretty strict.
I will
Yeah.
murder
You know,
him.
like who's calling? I'll pick up the phone and listen on the other side if I want to.
Oh,
Oh,
that was
nice.
the worst.
I
The
Oh.
worst.
The biggest thing I ever wanted, and I don't think I ever got it for a birthday present, was to like have my own phone line in my room, because that was like a big thing that was like coming about when I was like a teenager. Is like a lot of my friends were getting their own phone number in their own room. Like,
how much did that cost? Like, I wonder at the time, like
an extra $40 a month.
Really?
You know? Like,
it was that much?
Probably.
Jeez, I think about that because I'm always like, every kid wanted that.
I don't know. Who knows? I don't remember. But yeah, every kid wanted that.
Yeah.
I had that.
You had that?
Yeah.
Wow.
I would be
Must be nice.
it was our computer
with one of those
phone.
clear phones or like some novelty phone, a football phone. Like,
the football phones. I remember those.
Oh man,
we had the family
I
computer.
love this nostalgia.
Yeah, we had the family computer in my room.
Oh, okay.
Mistake
that was
number
also
one.
that was also nostalgia. Like I was
Yeah.
just talking to somebody about like fighting over the family computer. Like you played it last night.
Yeah.
I'm playing Minesweeper.
Yeah. Oh,
That or the
Man.
the
The
Britannica,
sewer,
and then there was like an trivia game. But I had the phone in there, and so I had a couple girlfriends in junior
Couple.
high, and they would call, and I would like have the ringer on low, and then we would just like sit on the phone like 5 hours.
Breathing.
your dad gets the phone bill. Like what?
Yeah, and I'm just like, I look back and I'm like, what a waste of time. I could have been sleeping, getting my beauty sleep and all this stuff, but I got inflamed, so I swole up, and that's why I was kind of like a bigger kid, because I wasn't getting my sleep. But
Yeah. Right.
do you remember burning CDs like a lot?
Oh, I remember. Well, when you were saying like VHS,
Yeah, I was thinking about the VHS.
My parents, I was just nostalgia's been overtaking me. Basically, my parents had this like cabinet with just like VHS tapes, and they would just record movies. They'd be like, look at the TV Guide channel.
Oh,
and
yeah.
be like, okay, this is what time. All right, we'll just pop it in, record it. Might not watch it, and then we'll just watch it later. And then I remember just like finding like, parents are gone for the weekend. All right, well, what's this? And pop it in. And
Wedding
just watch
night.
All right. Yeah. Must be a good movie.
Yeah.
It was very old. No, but I remember just like finding like random movies and just like being like, oh wow. And I think that's where I first like fell in love with movies was VHS tapes.
I know,
and fast
right?
forwarding through commercials and be like, oh shit,
Dude,
go back.
the Disney white cases, like back in the day,
And when they-
My
like,
parents still have those.
oh,
It's funny because like you go to their living room and like they have this like stand up like I don't know VHS DVD holder and they have like all these
Right.
DVDs and they have the VHSs still in the box. Like it's like well, I'm not.
I mean,
gonna,
like one
no
thing
one's ever
like
gonna
kids
watch
nowadays will never get to enjoy is like going to a video store on a Friday night and like
Blockbuster.
fighting over the 3 videos you're gonna be able to rent, like
Yeah,
as a
just watching them
family or
behind
whatever.
behind the
like,
cover, like when you would
man.
see that sticking out.
hoping you get this one video that you want, but it's all gone.
Yeah.
You know, like
oh man.
like
We are.
Video City. I
Video
didn't live
City.
very far from Video
Video.
City on Arctic, and so like that was like,
Oh, wow.
and then further into junior high and high school, one of my best friends lived at the one close to Jewel Lake. I mean, yeah, we went to Blockbusters a little bit, but Video City was like the jam.
And then having to rewind your movies before you
Yeah.
return them.
Please be kind.
Yeah,
Rewind.
please be kind and rewind.
Yeah.
I remember we had a Blockbuster membership and it was under my parents' name. And we decided to rent a movie that was R, and I think I must have been 17 because I got it. And it was called Sex Drive. And I don't know if you've seen this
Oh,
movie.
that's a good movie.
Where they travel across, the kid
The
travels.
Amish.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
it's not a porn,
No,
but
No.
but the name
the
back
name.
then.
So my
Yeah.
mom calls me and it's like, "Hey, we have a late fee for a movie. It's a week overdue."
Blockbuster loves
Yeah.
to give you some
Yeah.
sex as well.
Yeah.
But
I was like, "What movie is it?" She's like, "Sex Drive." And I'm like, "It's
Yeah.
not what it sounds like, Mom.
Yeah.
it's a comedy.
It was really funny."
It's a documentary or
And
it's an info.
And I'm keeping it.
Yeah. I remember this was the bad thing. Renting from Blockbuster and then like having a buddy be like, "Oh, dude, I really want to see that. Just like, I'll take it back for you. Let me just take it
Right.
tonight."
Yeah,
And
right.
Oh, man.
we did that.
$60 later.
Yeah, and so next time I go to Blockbuster, they're like, "Oh yeah, you never returned this 3 years ago," and I was like, "Oh
Yeah.
And then,
I've been sent to a corner store and credit over some stupid ass movies before.
Really? They went that far.
Yeah.
Well, this is a time like Blockbusters were like closing down,
Yeah.
but and then somehow the one on DeBar still knew that you owed this. Like somehow it got
Right.
transferred or whatever, and all of a sudden, you know how that is. Like,
Yeah.
if something goes to collections, either or sometimes you don't know. Okay, does that make any sense? It's just
But
like
about
I totally forgot about that.
My
ticket.
buddy, he realized we were together and he's like, well, we can't rent anything right now off this card. And they were like, no, absolutely not. Like, unless you paid $60 or whatever it was. And we didn't have $60. We had like 5 cents, for a fucking movie. And so he was like, well, can you just make me a new account? And they're like, well, yeah. He's like, you can't say no to a new account, right? He's like, I'll just open up one right now. And so basically we just opened up a new account, walked out with a new movie on his account, and I never paid. So I'm just saying, like, the reason Blockbuster isn't around might be because
you sent them
Yeah,
under.
Us.
You know.
Here.
They did.
I don't think it was just that.
It was that
I
one
mean,
movie.
like,
there's some other things.
Netflix, like I remember when that came on the scene, it was like, ooh, you can have it mailed to your house.
Yeah.
Or
it felt so sexy back then. I was like, oh, what a relief.
So
You don't have to
cool.
go somewhere else. Like, come home Friday after a long night of work. You already have your DVD that you're going to watch, like.
You get like 5 DVDs.
Yeah, they were, it was
package.
very, and then, that transformed into this whole streaming thing. And like, it's just really amazing how much has changed in like 40 years.
Yeah. Well,
like 30 years.
Think about it. It's like 1960s was like forever
you had to
ago.
go to the theaters.
Yeah.
Like,
and you just look how much the technology has advanced since then, and what we've gone through just in our lifetimes alone with the internet, and like how much we have at our fingertips. It's insane.
It's insane.
And
it's
so
literally kind of insane.
What you were saying as far as like your job and getting back on track, thank you very much.
I was like, when are you going to do that?
Good segue. But like, you're having to do different ways of promoting, ways of marketing, ways of getting people in and
then
interested.
You got to realize what your market still is. Like, for instance, maybe in other markets, radio is not as strong, but in this market, radio is still pretty strong.
Yeah.
To reach, smaller communities, further communities, and their reach has gotten further. Flyering, posters, going out and sending somebody to do that.
Huge.
So like a lot of people nowadays, you hear like, oh, like in other markets, they're like, you still do that? And I'm like, it's still a big deal because it's all about like top of mind awareness. Like, sure, see something on Instagram and then you go in this coffee shop and you see this poster and you hear this radio ad and you have a friend tell you about it and you see something on social media. So you just have to like,
you got to see
pound it into
times.
them. Yeah, that's just top of mind. Yeah, 7 times, right? That's like a general number they say. But yeah.
That's whenever I was trying to court a girl, I always try to make sure she saw me 7 times as quickly as possible. Top of mind. So.
Molly, is this true?
Yeah, she can confirm it. Hello, me again.
Okay, so let's change gears a little bit because I'm very curious because we've had Mac on recently, right?
That was the most one that recent. Yeah.
Yes,
that I've listened to.
As this
the magic of audio.
Yeah. Basically, so we've talked a little bit about concert promotion, but we haven't talked about like ginormous concert promotions. And so as of this recording, this isn't announced yet.
Yeah. I mean, we can go there.
Yeah.
I did not, when you asked me if there was anything off limits, I did not
No,
mention it.
in this podcast, we record weeks in advance. A little peek behind the curtain for everybody. But so,
So tomorrow, should I just get into it? Yeah, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., I'll be announcing Limp Bizkit with the Alaska Airlines Center.
Let's be honest, this is an exclusive. We're not live.
Yeah, it really is.
We're not live, but we're saying it out
Oh my God.
in public. We're saying it out
It's kind
loud.
of a big deal.
It is a very big deal.
Yeah.
Limp Bizkit with Del Mag.
With Del Mag and
Thera, which we're very excited
I know.
for.
I'm going to be the manager
It's been a
for
hot
a day.
minute since you guys have played a show too. Oh, wait, last summer?
We played
Last summer.
twice last year.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
very excited.
very excited too.
Yes.
Very anxious, very excited.
I would imagine this is a very
I mean, I'll just
big
like
thing.
note that with like if anything happens between now and when
Yeah.
this airs, like
We'll take it
Things
out.
happen in concert promotions.
what?
Things get rescheduled. People get really ticket goers get kind of butthurt about that. I saw that when we were young. People crying and this, that, and the other. But, I was there. The weather was not appropriate,
They made a smart choice.
I just recently, Red Jumpsuit Apparatus that we have on April 29th, last week, posted a video that they were postponing their whole spring tour. And I didn't read through the post, but I hit the video. I started watching. I'm like,
wait.
Thank God our show got spared. Our show and one other show they're still coming up to do. But it makes, even as a promoter or a concert producer, it makes your, butthole tighten.
Yeah.
But things come up and, family members have issues. Weather happens, people don't get on their planes. I dealt with that with Taking Back Sunday.
Yeah.
Not
their fault.
Not their fault.
Yeah.
There's a huge weather situation, in New York, but
Still,
but
did the
hopefully,
show.
yes. Limp Bizkit,
Yes.
May 13th
at
the arena.
Let's just put that into the universe
May
now.
13th.
There will be no problems. Let's just put that into the universe. Let's just say, hey, Limp Bizkit's going to play. We're very excited for them to play.
Very excited.
Yeah, because I think
I've been doing a little light LLB, or LLBR, light Limp Bizkit research.
What does that
Did
entail?
you know Fred is a director?
Yes. I did know, yes.
Yeah, that he's directed 3 eHarmony commercials.
I
didn't know they were. I did not know they were eHarmony. Didn't he do a movie?
He's done a couple things.
Yeah.
He's been in some shows, this, that, and the other. He's also
he did, a
vice
horror
president
movie.
of A&R for Interscope Records.
Wow, that I was telling you guys before this, the podcast I listened to, he started talking about. I was like, oh, I didn't know he did all of this. I was like, now he's my hero.
Right.
Well,
I'm a fan.
Yeah.
Obviously, working at KWell.
Yeah.
That music, I can I'm pretty sure I could recite break stuff from beginning to end.
100%. That whole album.
I mean,
But, I didn't know where he grew up or, what he's done besides music. Most people nowadays do a lot of things.
Yeah.
Graphic, film, music. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So, okay. So
He's
talking
a
about.
tattoo artist. And
he
then
really?
Wes Borland is a enigma to me as well.
He's a
he's always
creative.
been the crazy one.
It
He's a creative enigma.
I wasn't sure I heard crazy or creative.
Crazy enigma.
I mean, you know what? Honestly, I don't know the guy, but maybe a little crazy, but he's also very creative.
He's theatric.
Wow.
Yeah, dude.
Come up with that shit? I mean, come on,
Yeah.
dude's got a brain. Okay. he's got
he
a
can
he's
do
got a good
riffs.
brain
So yeah,
inside.
there's all of that. Yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, definitely
lot.
probably one of the higher level artists I've ever
Yes.
dealt with.
So
I've dealt with a lot of artists.
I know you have. And that's another thing too. You've dealt with doing giant shows where you have permits and you shut down streets and it's a
Right.
lot.
It's a lot.
And very high profile artists. Give the people listening and ourselves kind of a little peek behind the curtain, just kind of what goes into negotiations, maybe. You don't have to say about
70 emails.
I would say you don't have to say about this specific show.
And then there's multiple strands, email strands. There's 70 here and 25 here and
yeah.
so a lot of organizations. So with venue management, there's 9 key elements. I mean, business, admin. There's so many things that are all working with each other that you kind of have to balance all of those things together: marketing, booking, ticketing, hospitality. Every artist is different. I've seen some really funny writers. I've seen some very serious writers.
What's a example of a funny writer?
So Friend Zone.
and actually,
Friend Zone, I think I might have the best one.
tell people what writers are.
Writers, RIDER, not
Yeah.
W. Just by the way, because I had a friend text me.
What's
Just
a writer?
Wider? A wider?
A writer.
No,
It kind of lays out the stipulations of everything from production to security to, backstage access, credentials, marketing. It's,
Green room.
anywhere from 3 pages
Yeah.
to 40 or 80 or more. Alice in Chains was pretty crazy. At one time, you can request
Yeah.
the writer if, you're
Just to
getting
see.
serious because so you can kind of figure out your costs.
That'd be fun.
But yeah, they had like a bowl of fruit, and if you put it in the shape of genitalia, we like that more. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, ditto,
But they had,
me too.
oxygen. So yeah, you got your, the things people always talk about.
The green M&Ms.
The green M&Ms, all like yellow Skittles, like that kind of stuff. A lot of times the reason they put weird stuff on that is to make sure promoters are reading it.
Yeah.
What I've been told is like, surprisingly, there's a lot of shitty promoters out there that like don't care if you even have like a clean towel to wipe the sweat off your face, like those kind of things. Like, so the cut corners. And I mean, I will say the one thing that every artist that I've ever worked with and dealt with is like, dude, Alaska, like you guys always take great care of us. Like it doesn't matter what promoter it has been. I mean,
I think that's a testament to like this place, and we say like, yeah, we're 7 years behind or whatever. But when someone comes up of this big stature of like, or even if it's a smaller band, but like we've heard of them or whatever, we're just like, we're grateful.
Yeah.
We're stoked. And that's as like an audience member. But then as like promoters, you guys go out of your way to make their day and make their week.
Right.
And sometimes you bring them up for several days and say, let's go on an excursion. Let's do this.
Yeah, nothing sells Alaska to other people, like other artists that we might be trying to get up here, than amazing photos and like their time. I mean, just like Alaska's a very close-knit community, right? We're like, oh, such a small town. Like it's the same thing in like industries that way, a lot of people know each other. They're all on like the same tour, like,
roadies
runs, like, so yeah, the reggae group is all very close, rock and emo. I mean, like they all talk to each other, and they're all friends with each other, just like we are friends.
Sure. So
sure.
I mean, we're close to an extent.
Fuck, Kyle. God damn.
So when you're when you're looking at like the Williwaw budget for a show or whatever it is, do you kind of go into like a website that shows like tier 1 is this band, these bands that cost this much, tier 2, and so you're trying to match budget with kind of like what you see available? Or
there's a lot of research that goes into it. There's not a set website.
Right.
I mean, the agencies. So you go, I mean, as much as like we could like reach out to somebody and they're like, yeah, I'm stoked to like the artist to come up. They're going to put you through their management one way or the other.
Dealing with that.
Like as part of their deal, the contract they've signed, that their shows will be booked through an agency that they've signed through, because that agent is getting his cut too. And then management. All of that.
Who shows dollar amount first? Like, do you say like I have this much?
Oh,
money
they always like make us an offer. They always want us to throw out a number. Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I always thought it was the other way around. Like, all right, we're this much.
Sometimes, if they just want to like scare you off, or like they're like they'll put out ridiculously high number. Yeah, the fuck you number. Yeah, exactly.
And you're like, yeah, I can do it. They're like, fuck you.
You might try to start crunching the numbers to see if you can make that happen. It's such a balance. Like you're like, okay, maybe that is a fuck you number. Let's see, what that ticket price would look like with these expenses. Like, is that something we think the market would pay for? That's actually one thing I did want to like kind of like maybe touch on, is the weird dynamic that Alaskans have with like buying tickets at a high value.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So like recently, one of our coworkers went to Vegas. Chainsmokers has a residency there. Yeah. He paid $300 for their residency tickets. Like they're there every weekend and their tickets are still $300 in Vegas. And meanwhile, if we brought him up here and we were like, it's $160, people would
lose their mind.
Yeah. Like lose their mind.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know, because as a meantime, like we all have done it. Like I have like paid for a ticket to Vegas or paid for California, West Coast. I mean, I've seen festivals in, Memphis, like, and then meanwhile, it's like, heaven forbid you spend, $100 on a ticket. And like after the pandemic, they're raising their rates. Yeah. And the Alaska market is what they will always call a one-off, a fly-in date. We're never going to be on the tour route. Like, let's be real.
Yet.
Maybe
Someday.
transportation, like transporters, Star Trek.
Yeah.
Like, beam me up, Scotty. If that were to happen, like if we could get there, like, dude, yes, we could be on a tour route.
Yeah.
But until then, the major tour route, like sometimes you look out when they're like, I'm going to Japan or Australia, or we're going to do, maybe a British Columbia, Alaska, Hawaii run. But even that's pretty rare. So
it's vacation mode.
You're really like essentially tracking them down. And they're not very often are people tracking us down. Like as much as we're like, our state is beautiful, it's wonderful. Don't you want to say you've been to every 50 states, blah, blah. That's not as much of a selling point as you think it might be,
So what is the selling point for bands? Is it just money?
Yeah.
Just the money?
That makes sense.
Money, I mean, nowadays also, our production has gone up,
Like, what can you guys do?
Right. I mean, even having like LED screens and LED walls in the state didn't happen probably for till like within the last 10 years. And so, those kind of things definitely have helped elevate us,
So then with all this stuff, you're bringing up bigger artists, you're doing better, bigger production, and we're still having fucking little bitch fit because it's $150.
Yeah, Sundown. I mean, Williwaw is not necessarily part of Sundown, and like, I'm kind of happy about that. Love you guys. I love you, Showdown. But man, at the end of that 3-day festival last year, I was dead.
It was a lot.
It was, I
would imagine
also,
putting on a festival
creating a
is
venue in the middle of downtown is a lot different than a park where you can start setting up for 5 days before and all this stuff, right? Like, so that's going to be cool. And we're going to have a bunch of after parties like that. I'm super, like Chromeo is supposed to be playing at Williwaw. And they're supposed to be announcing that as like an after party. But that 3-day ticket.
Wait, they're playing. Wait, hold on.
Yes.
Because Chromeo is like.
That's the only person I want to see on that.
I was like, Chromeo, I'm there. Are they
Which will be a side ticket.
Are they doing a DJ gig or?
I don't know exactly.
I would go
per
either
se.
way. I love those guys. Okay.
But just like any big festival, like when we were young or, Bonnaroo, you'll see these acts doing smaller venues, right? And doing side shows. And that's the same idea with Williwaw, with the after parties and stuff like that, we'll have some of the more headline acts doing after parties at Williwaw for that.
Which I'm also excited about too, because the Limp Bizkit show, going back to that, the night before.
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about the night before at Williwaw.
Kyle, we're about to get stupid.
Does our golden tickets work at all the?
Do
they?
Actually, well, it always said some limitations apply.
Does this limit?
Which is like whatever Susynn fucking says goes. Okay.
Power, fucking flex.
Oh, I love the power.
Listen, best friend.
I have the power.
Listen, bestie.
No plus ones on that. If nothing else,
that's fine.
But yeah, the night before, it's Limp Bizkit Eve. And it's gonna be a 2-hour DJ set with Fred Durst and DJ Lethal.
DJ Lethal. Oh my!
Yeah, I think it's gonna be very interesting. This is like
Look at his eyes right now, dude.
This is like a once in a If you ask me, this doesn't happen. Like if there any time you could compare it to where you're like this huge artist, came and played like a
little
800 person venue or like anywhere in town.
I mean, that happens all the time here though, I think. Like I saw like
like Zach Brown popped into like Salmon Fest. But that's not a tiny venue per se.
True.
It wasn't announced.
But like I'm thinking more like August Burns Red. We played with them. They did a 2-show weekend and we played the 2 shows with them. And it was like the first night sold out Coots, right? A lot of people. 1,000+ people, but that's still like whatever. The next night was like 50 kids at an all ages show,
right?
And I'm like, all right. And I told my band, I was like, last weekend they played not Madison Square Garden, but Times Square PlayStation Theater to like 4,000 people, and they were headlining the show, and it was like packed wall to wall. And I was like, we just saw them with fucking 50 kids,
which goes back to that exact thing I'm saying. Is like.
Same with
sometimes Alaskans don't know what they have until it's gone.
Yeah.
And, there was a time, like I said, my dad there was all kinds of amazing concerts that were coming up here in like the late 80s and early 90s that like it disappeared for a long time, you know?
Yeah.
And then just died off for like several years. It killed me. Like I'd always be like, no, nobody ever comes up. Nobody came up here. Nobody did come up here, you know? So
It's very rare.
because again,
It's expensive.
the market has to support it. We're not even like 1 million people in the whole state either, you know? Like,
well, I think people will support LB coming up.
I mean, it's kind of the perfect act for this state.
I guess
perfect
like,
for me and Kyle. I'll
Well,
be
I know.
honest.
Zilla boys.
yeah, but like, I always like go back to like why. I'm glad it's Limp Bizkit, but like, why is it Limp Bizkit? Like, where did you get like?
That's a good question.
Like, you know, they're not
I'm not
exactly.
allowed- I don't know. I mean,
Were you-
was it
we
a feeling?
we have lists. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, with a show that big, like in an arena, if I have to explain to you or anyone who it is, it's not the right act.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If,
It's got to be.
if you're trying to sell
familiar.
4,000 tickets
Yeah.
in this market, it has to be a name pretty much every, you know, 9 out of 10 people know.
Right.
You know, a Foo Fighters, a Steve Aoki, you know, a Chainsmokers, a fucking Taylor Swift. That's way out of our league. Don't ask for that.
No
Yet.
Swifties.
Yet.
Yeah.
You know.
So it's got to be. Yeah. It's got to be that just right name recognition along with a price point that works.
Yeah,
For the country.
yeah.
Do you have a system? Because I feel like my system would be like
Okay, I
asking
mean-
my parents, "Hey,
Do you know who Limp Bizkit is?
yeah," and they both were like, "I've heard you talk about them. Yeah.
Do you know what a Limp Bizkit is?
So I mean,
I
like,
mean, sort of.
my,
but sometimes,
my gauge is
you
my
know,
parents
yeah,
for sure. I'm
you
like,
kind
oh,
of.
they-
If your parents know, you know, it's big
yeah,
enough.
exactly. Exactly. When we opened up
Um,
for, well, I mean, we grew up with these guys, but like, when we opened up for Under Oath, they were like, oh, "Congratulations! We've heard you talk about them for years." It was like they knew of them, but only
Yeah.
through me.
I
but
love their
yeah.
song. All their songs.
Yeah,
They're great.
I love them. Yeah, they're great. Yeah.
Yeah, there's not necessarily a system. Sometimes it's like reach out to an agent and we're fishing around for one name and then that turns into something else because they represent multiple different
Yeah.
people. Sometimes they give us names that they're like, "Oh, don't you want to do this?" And we're like, "No, actually I don't." Like
Yeah.
it's not actually what I want to do. Or like that person's been up here and it was just like so. I mean, you see that kind of a lot up here too. And we're guilty of it as well as like bringing up the same people, you know, like we're bringing atmosphere back, but he
Oh.
does really well.
Yeah.
The thing is like these artists, they come up, some of them, and they absolutely love it. And they want to come back every year.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean the market supports that, you know,
Right.
up here yet again.
Yeah.
And I don't know when that day will be, but very much of it is about population, you
Yeah,
know, and
that makes
you
sense.
know, like
Hey, we're growing though.
we are.
We'll be 1 million
Slowly but
people here
steadily.
soon. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I hope
if-
not.
Yeah, I know.
So, if
I was just in
someone,
California. I was like, I will, you know, if I could just like bring everything about California with less than 10,000 or 10 million people, I would, you know,
I'd
like if
do
we
it.
could just, I would be there.
you had me.
Yeah.
You had me at California.
Yeah.
Now, if someone's like trying to get into like event management or like concert promotion in general, what are like some things that you would tell them? Like, hey, work on this or start doing this or,
You have to start somewhere.
yeah. Where
I mean,
do you
just
start?
like, well, just like I said, I started like part-time as a reception, like for the whole like Morris Communications, right? To get into radio. Like you have to start somewhere. And that could be a ticket taker, that could be a security guard, that could be, you know, a trained crowd manager. That's a great thing. Like if you are really interested in being in concerts, like getting that, and it's I think a $25 certificate. There's different courses, but anywhere from 2 to 6 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Teach you how to like manage crowds and what to do and make sure, you know.
Interesting. I didn't even know that existed.
Yes, you know,
Huh.
I mean, obviously, there's a fun side again, but that's the vegetables. If you got to be able to eat your vegetables and taking that crowd management
not
and
broccoli.
realizing like what a big deal it is to bring, you know, sometimes up to like 20,000 people together. Not here, that's not us, but like in a festival, what kind of like responsibility you have.
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of the party pooper at work when it comes to that, and like making sure that emergency exits aren't blocked or things aren't stacked too high where it would like block a walkway, so on and so forth. Because like as part of that training, you have to like watch videos and learn about like how these people died as something they intended to have a good time at. And like nothing, I mean, I couldn't even like watch that. Like the Astro World videos are like so hard for me to watch.
That's just where my head
that
went.
like just like, but that happens a lot more than you would think it would,
like
especially
Great White.
Yes, the station fire, the station club fires.
With the pyrotechnics.
Yeah, that's that's actually like literally still
ago.
the main example in the train crowd management course that they bring up. But there's even one like from 1920s or something, like some like essentially like back in the 30s, like cigar club and like entertainers and like stages and different rooms and like the place to be. I think it might have been like Oklahoma, but a bunch of like doors were locked and like there was no PA. And like most of the people, there was like 130 people who died. I mean, it's just like, it's ridiculous. Like,
what?
So
it happened a few years ago, Steve.
No, that was like it was like the 20s or 30s, maybe.
20s,
Yeah, that was a lot. And like all of that has helped build these regulations that we have currently.
Well, you want to focus on the fun.
Which goes back to that writer, making sure that like promoters are doing what they should be doing.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a lot.
We could get into Woodstock 99 right now.
Yeah.
But maybe we shouldn't. That Netflix documentary, though, the opening scene caused me so much anxiety right away. Like, that's the kind of things I do freak out about. I mean, there's more, again, waste management, sanitation, water, crowd manage, I mean, there's way more that goes into it than booking bands and having a sound system.
Yeah.
And a stage.
Yeah, that's the thing that people don't see a lot.
It's like taking care of these people,
Yeah. You're like, well, you're like you just said, like taking care of them, but you're expecting like, okay, they're gonna want drinks. Let's provide them drinks. They're gonna want food. We can get them food. They're gonna want bathrooms. Let's make sure we have, high plumbing, high quality plumbing, bathrooms. They're gonna want this. They're gonna want that. They're gonna want photo ops. And it's like,
also people can have fun.
No fun. Do you have like a checklist? Do you have to like for every event? You're like, okay, we have security, we have this, we have this.
We have a safety plan and narrative and stuff like that, safety meetings. Usually like with Steve Aoki, we are set to have one on 4/3, like 5 days in advance. And I don't want anything. I'm always, again, what we just talked about, I'm always worried like somebody's going to get hurt.
Right.
And just the backlash from all that. I'd rather just have an event go off smoothly. If that means cutting out something that might cause a problem, then that's the better route, in my opinion.
Yeah, love that.
So
I love it.
Do you get to find like, since you're stressing about like the thing the whole time up to it, like do you get to enjoy events that much?
So that's like, I was thinking about like Limp Bizkit, and I'm probably just gonna be on the side stage and be like, "Get the hell! You're not supposed to be here! Like, stop vaping or something."
Hey, we got a guy
whereas,
by
like,
the
there's
exit.
part of me that would just rather be out in like the mosh pit, like fully enjoying the show, right? Like,
would you be in the mosh
100%.
pit? Would you be in the mosh pit?
Not the circle anymore. I'm too old.
Yeah.
I'd probably like break a bone.
Yeah.
Can you have like a teammate that you tag in for just the concert portion where they take over?
Not really. I'm
you
not
don't
that
trust
person.
anybody?
I got control issues.
Me too.
Yeah.
I have that.
I get to enjoy it. Like Jimmy World, I got to enjoy some, like the music part. Like once the main act goes on, things kind of settle down, right? There's not a lot of people pulling you to be like, we need this done, we need that done, so on and so forth. Once the main act on, they don't need anything.
Yeah.
Like everything should be going the way it's supposed to be going.
Sure.
So you get a few minutes to enjoy it, but before they're over, you're like back at it, making sure that, like they're going to have whatever after show food, so on, transportation, blah, 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 blah. Like, yeah.
Gosh, it's a lot of logistics that like, I feel like everybody goes to concerts and they just kind of expect everything to just go smooth. Like it's just, I go to get, and I think that's also why you were talking about price points and stuff like Alaskans. Like we have great shows But we've always expected shows to probably be in like the $40 to $80 ticket
Yeah.
range for the most. Like, I'm not saying that's good or bad, but when you fly out of state to another concert or something like that, you just expect, I feel like, to pay more money because you've traveled somewhere.
And I think you also expect to get those like special things, like this cool photo op as you go in and all this other stuff, right?
Yeah.
So like we're trying to add that stuff too to make sure that they feel like they're getting a value for that amount of money, right? Like,
Exactly. Yeah, it feels like Alaska isn't, and I don't mean this per se, but like not the professional concert place, but it's on its way
It's
to
on
there.
its way.
But like when you go to Vegas, you're like, these guys have been doing this forever, so I expect the premium price. Versus Alaska, like maybe it'll be good, maybe who knows? Maybe I have Hobson or something like not.
You know, I mean that's why Williwaw got an LED wall. Like we needed to like continue to like up the game of things, you know.
So it's just like kind of a waiting game, maybe to when it
we kind of catch up, but then hopefully we are slightly above the curve.
Sure.
You know, like making,
you know,
I'd rather do that, like be slightly ahead of the curve and like kind of like take a hit on that than like be behind the curve on it, you know, if that makes any sense.
Be kind of second tier concert.
Right. Like they, you know, these people are already doing it. And it's like, no, we were like nearly the first, you know.
Right. Are the first. I mean, you guys got lasers. I mean, you got LED walls.
Pyrotechnics, obviously.
Every week.
Soon to come.
It's called vaping inside. That's just like,
there's a lot of smoke in here.
Haze.
We have no haze. No haze.
The fire marshal loves haze.
I bet.
Well, we appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
We appreciate your time. We're grateful that you graced us with your presence. But what is next? What is like, you know, besides this giant show?
Besides Limp Bizkit.
Steve Aoki, and then Red Jumpsuit, and then Limp Bizkit, and then Atmosphere, and July, hopefully a break.
Oh, really? Okay, cool. All right. Are you
Fingers crossed.
Vacation planned?
No. I don't know. I'm just saying as far as like concerts and big events, probably nothing planned.
What
big? Why? I mean, fishing, camping, like really hits off by
Alaska's
then. You know,
we're out of town.
There's another part of like cannibalism.
Yeah,
and I didn't even like get into this, but like a lot of more.
What did you say?
Cannibal, like the concert, like dollar. Like there's a lot of concert promoters, and we're all maybe like
planning the same weekends.
Yeah,
and all
like
that.
it's for instance, like Puddle of Mud and Backyard Barbecue are on the same day, you know, and
people got to pick.
You got to pick, and that's a very much of like they could probably do crossover.
Who's
and,
Backyard Barbecue? Who's playing?
Brad Erickson. Don't ask me. It's a country person. I mean,
then
like,
Puddle of Mud.
Yeah. What about Puddle of Mud?
She fucking hates me.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
I was gonna say you don't
that's
know
you
them?
in particular, but there's plenty of people who like.
Yeah, I'm not a
that
country boy. Not a country boy.
You know, the thing about Backyard Barbecue, it's like there's people who go to it religiously. They don't even care who it is.
Really?
It's just like, you know, that's
the
a summer party that they look forward to. You know, so
I guess that makes sense.
And so there's a, you know, like try to like give everybody some breathing room. And then right after that, August, you got Salmon Fest. There's a rumor Willie Nelson might drive up here.
Slick Willie?
Sick. Oh, let's get him on the podcast.
He's never been here because he doesn't fly.
Oh,
so that's another thing. Actually, I won't say who, but we reached out to one artist and they were like, "Well, she doesn't like to fly." Doesn't
Beyonce.
and won't are two different
Beyonce?
things.
Was it
Okay?
I don't like to make this call, but
Spears?
I got to. Yeah.
Well, that
Salmon Fest and then the State Fair. So you know, like
jam packed.
Yeah, there's a lot coming up. Of course, you can probably find all this information on willowawsocial.com.
That was my next question.
willowawsocial.com. There's an events tab. Yeah.
Williwaw Social on Instagram.
TikTok.
Yep.
Snapchat. Facebook, Twitter, which is also taking off again. I don't know.
Is it though? And then also it's in the news recently about like, it's tanking. And then
it is tanking.
Elon's like
but
pissed that it's like not even half his investment.
Nobody was interested. Weren't you there at that Twitter meetup? You, me?
I was. Yeah.
Like back then, nobody was doing it. Now, now I guess all the cool kids are back on there talking smack about Anchorage or whatever, what's cool or not cool.
It is funny how
what is happening is these kids don't want to be on Facebook. They want to be on the platforms their parents are not on, too. I think it's another part of it, if that makes any sense.
Oh, that makes complete sense.
Yeah.
Also, like, so much crap is posted on Twitter, it gets lost. So, like, you can just, like,
Say
shit,
whatever.
and nobody maybe even sees it.
Except when you, like, want to host the Oscars, and then, like, someone goes back 10
well,
years
that's a
and
whole
pulls up.
different level.
Yeah, but
You'll never be at that level. I love you, Steven, but...
That's okay. I'm
And
okay
if you
with that.
She didn't say that about me.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, come to Williwaw.
Yeah.
Check out our website. See what we got going on.
Well, that's
Very
great.
good.
That's a great way to end it right there.
Are you guys going to use your golden tickets?
I'm gonna go.
I'm
going
gonna
tonight.
count how many times you use them.
Technically, I already have before I even had my golden ticket.
I just got mine tonight.
Yeah.
But you also thought you were using it for something you didn't. Remember, you were like, "Oh, I thought that was the Echo Smith night."
Oh yeah. I thought I was going to Echo Smith, but I went to Breathe Carolina. But I was still pleasantly surprised, and I loved them. And it was fun because we got to hang out with you and Dylan.
Yeah, that's one of my more favorite shows recently.
Yeah, and they were great. But I like walked in, and they're like, you know, do you have a ticket? And I was like, golden ticket? And they're like, oh yeah, right this way. And I was like, oh nice, okay. Like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
No, I'm definitely using it.
Kyle,
We'll
I'm
use it
guessing you're going to
together.
use it once this whole year.
What happens if I use it twice? I will.
I will give you a $50 gift card on top of that. If you show
Oh damn!
I'm going tonight.
You have to use
Let's
it
go.
for a cover charge. You can't just show up 2 times in a
I'm
year.
just gonna show it to everybody in there. That's one
Yeah.
time.
That's exciting. Well,
I will.
I
I'll put it
you
on my
heard it
calendar.
here first, folks.
Yes.
Yes.
This is a recorded podcast. So, anyways, thank
Okay.
you, Susan.
Thank
Yes,
you guys.
thank you.
Appreciate you.
Yeah. No, this has been super fun.
Good.
Okay.
Right.
Good.
Good.
Thanks for tuning in. Kyle and Steven will be back with a new episode next week. In the meantime, check out GoFixYourselfPodcast.com. And remember to always go fix yourself.